he asks him to take him down, recalling his parents' words. He calls his friends who take advantage of him and tells them he's inviting them and will foot the bill. He continues drinking until he loses consciousness. His friends envy his lifestyle, thinking it's easy because he's rich, handsome, and popular, but they don't know he's suffering. He calls Yun, threatening to kill himself if he doesn't come, but Yun is at work. He then calls Jen because she's the team leader, and she reluctantly agrees to go. When she arrives, she finds him standing by the lake, wanting to throw himself in. He asks her to be with him, but she confesses she likes someone else. John arrives, barely conscious, and Jen has to carry him home. He goes to wash his hands in the bathroom and finds it clean and spacious, unlike his cramped and dirty apartment bathroom, which saddens him. Later, he leaves the house with Jen and asks her not to let anyone know he was carried home so he won't have to thank anyone. The next day, John wakes up, having forgotten everything. He tries to remember what happened, but he can't. He calls Jen to ask who brought him home, but she refuses to tell him and dodges the question. Later, the doctor who asked Jen to approach John about giving up the project thinks John was pressured into it, but Jen tells her that he did it willingly. John realizes that Yoon must have been the one who brought him home because he was the last person he talked to yesterday. He goes to sit with Jen and asks her who the person she mentioned yesterday that she likes is. Jen is surprised that he remembers their conversation and tells him it's someone close to her, but he doesn't seem to take it seriously and assumes she means her friend. John takes her to a place to watch the sunset and tells her he'll help her make the person she likes notice her, giving her advice on how to get his attention. Afterwards, Jen goes to Chan's dorm and finds the place a mess. She calls him, but he promises to come later and she ends up cleaning and tidying up the place herself, waiting for him, but he never shows up. John sees her from the balcony because he's her neighbor. He realizes that the person she likes and becomes friends with is her companion. The next day, we see John looking for a new room to live in. He has to find another job to be able to afford the rent, but he can't find anyone willing to hire students. Meanwhile, John takes Jen shopping and helps her buy new clothes and change her style to get noticed. He's attracted to her but doesn't want to show it. When she chooses a new dress, he wants to pay for it, but she insists on paying herself as a way to thank him for his time. They have ice cream together and walk until she catches the bus. Later, John returns home. At night, he talks to Chan from the balcony and learns from him that his girlfriend will come to his house tomorrow. He sends a message to Jen asking her to confess her feelings to him. Ren goes to the supermarket. She finds him working and remembering everything because he's using every minute. He comes out to talk to her, and she learns that he's looking for another job to increase his income. Despite being upset because there's no time to see him or go out with him, she asks a friend to intervene on his behalf to get a job. The next day, the team gathers to discuss the matter. John enters with Jen, and his friends are surprised to see them together, thinking they are in a relationship, making Jen feel embarrassed. After they finish and he leaves to catch up on his work, John follows him and tries to treat him to something to thank him for giving him a lift. However, he refuses, saying he's busy. At night, Jen buys food and goes to his apartment to have dinner together as they agreed, but he forgets their arrangement. She arrives, and Jen opens the door for her. She's shocked to see her and feels uncomfortable, so she leaves the apartment. She meets Chan on the stairs and gets tense, leaving them and going downstairs. She remembers her memories with him when they were young, when he gave her a bracelet that she wore, and since then, she wasn't worried about her hands. John sees her standing alone and tells her to come out. When she enters, she continues to cry because Chan had told her that he broke up with his girlfriend months ago, which turned out to be a lie. John sympathizes with her and tells her that she's using him as if he were her boyfriend to wait for her friend or make him change. Jen agrees, and the first thing John does is remove the bracelet from her hand and break it so she won't think about Chan anymore. He takes her out to the balcony, and when they see them, he feels jealous and tells her that she's his girlfriend. Then, John takes her to her destination, and on the way, Chan calls her. However, John takes her phone and prevents her from answering, telling her that he doesn't deserve her feelings and warns her not to talk to him or meet him until he realizes her worth. They continue to joke around on the way, showing that they've grown closer. After that, the appetite goes to the supermarket to see Yoon. It's clear that she's interested in him, but she finds someone else standing in his place and gets annoyed that she couldn't see him. The next day, Yoon is at the university and meets a friend who tells him about a job opportunity. When he goes, he's surprised that it was so easily arranged, realizing that Ran arranged it and the manager recommended him. So, Yoon decides to reject the job offer, even though it would provide him with accommodation and a lot of money. That night, Ran learns what happened and argues with him because she wanted to help him relax, but Yoon tells her that he doesn't like anyone helping him. He hates being indebted to anyone. The next day, Yoon's brother goes to the university to meet him, and by chance, he sees Shia and immediately likes her. However, he pretends to trip and falls to the ground, pretending to play sports, and the girls laugh at him. Then his brother comes, takes him, and they leave, meeting John along the way, telling her that he's Yoon's friend. His brother is surprised that Yoon has friends and invites him to eat with them. John happily agrees. While they're together, Jen notices how Yoon treats his younger brother and remembers how his own family treated him, making him feel emotional. After they finish eating, he tells Yoon that he's grateful for his brotherhood and that he loves him. He expresses his wish to have a brother like Yoon because he doesn't have any siblings. Later, the team gathers for the project, but John's friends haven't done the required research, so Yoon reprimands them. They get upset and withdraw from the team, asking John to leave with them. However, he refuses and decides to stay with Yoon, promising to provide him with the necessary information for the project, particularly about his father's company. John calls the company's secretary and asks her to get the information from his father. When his father agrees, he doesn't know it's John who wants it, not his older son, so he refuses. Later, Jen learns that her scholarship has been approved, and the secretary calls to congratulate her. A student who's interested in Jen overhears their conversation. When the doctor enters, she initially chooses Jen as her assistant, but the student lies to her, claiming he helped Jen with the scholarship, leading the doctor to change her mind and appoint him as her assistant instead of Jen. Meanwhile, at the supermarket, Yoon encounters John's friends who start to say bad things and throw bottles on the floor. Unable to confront them directly because they are customers, he tries to ignore them. However, when Ren arrives, she confronts them physically and shows her prowess, intimidating them and even scaring John's friends from the club. When Yoon returns home, he finds an envelope of money from his brother. He asks his brother where get the money from. He said he'd take John watch and sold it and spend the money, leaving him with what's left. Yoon gets angry with him and leaves, going to John's house. He calls John to come down, surprising him. Yoon tells him that he owes him, intending to repay the money, but John insists that he needs a friend and is working to support himself. They agree to remain friends, albeit reluctantly on Yoon's part. Later, Chan is waiting for Jen, and when they talk, he realizes she's not in a relationship with John, despite her lie. He advises her not to trust him because he knew his girlfriend was coming to see him that day. Despite this, she asks Chan to meet with him to resolve the situation between them. Chan recalls the message John sent her that day, but refuses to believe it. She calls John and asks to meet him, and he happily agrees. When they meet, she asks if he knew his girlfriend was coming to see him, and John admits that he did, explaining that he wanted her to end things because he didn't want to see her. Jen feels hurt, and although John tries to explain, she decides they can't be just friends anymore after this incident. They will only be colleagues on the project from now on. She leaves, feeling upset. John remains standing alone, upset after his only friend left him, and he continues to reminisce about their memories together while crying. He decides to go out and stay up late, drinking to try to forget. However, he can't overcome what happened. He calls Yoon, who is working late, and tells him that he hurt someone dear to him and doesn't know what to do. Yoon advises him to confess his feelings to her and then ends the call. John gathers his courage and rushes to Jen's residence. He calls out to her, surprising her when she sees him from the window and comes down to talk to him. John apologizes to her for hurting her and confesses his true feelings, admitting that he loves her. He asks her not to respond to him right now, but to give him a chance, then leaves. That's all for today's video. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button and check out our other selection of recaps. Take care.